Hello everyone, it's going to be very few dangerous days ahead of us, especially in the east as we deal with a multi-day severe weather threat, possibly an outbreak for the next couple of days. It's going to get interesting. Today's quiet, but then it gets interesting. So we're going to talk about it all in this video, go over all the model data, recent data, just the general things you need to know before we really buckle in. I might need to make some more weekend videos. This video is supposed to be Friday's video, but might need to make one tomorrow as well, as there will be an ongoing threat, and Monday there will be another threat kind of centered along the I-95 corridor, and since that's such a populated area, it might be worth talking about. So we'll talk about all of that in today's video. And yeah, let's get right into it. So we'll start out with current satellite imagery analysis, and you can already see the pieces coming together, okay? You have this long wave trough over here, okay? A little bit of a trough in the east, but this is departing, okay? So you have some subtle warm air advection at the 850 millibar surface, and a little bit at the surface, mainly at 850 millibars. This all retreats over the next couple of days, and so the only area where cold air may linger is up in northern Maine, which there are alerts for winter weather up there, but even those areas will go to rain eventually as well. So we'll watch that. Some cloud cover south of like Philly, south of DC, maybe some high clouds for you guys. When you go closer, this is your trough right here. Okay, you're gonna have a developing low. It's already kind of getting ready to develop, and it's gonna eject from here out into the north central plains, and it's gonna cut. Okay, it's a obviously big cutter. I mean, well west of the Appalachian Mountains, similar to last week, but this storm's gonna be stronger. You're gonna get a little further south of a winter weather threat here, so we're gonna watch these areas for winter weather and into northern Maine, but it's mainly the north central portion of the U.S. And then the main story is a severe weather threat. So first we're gonna have a threat in this general area, and then another one in this general area. So it's gonna be pretty interesting. And this is a big trough. It's gonna be having wide open access to the Gulf Atlantic, currently pumping in Pacific moisture. So it's a moisture loaded system that we're gonna watch as it continues to go and get more consolidated in the next few days. So surface analysis kind of shows us that. Here's your trough in the east, pretty draped, but it's mainly with this kind of, or this is the low pressure actually up here, but subtle high pressure. It's going to be departing. Either way, warm air advection is on the way. Stationary front in the mid-south. You got this, here's your low area. Okay, still kind of fragmented, but it'll get its act together very rapidly. Around 998 is your lowest pressure. A little bit of cold front up to the north, cold front here, stationary, low warm front, stationary in the cold front here. So still pretty fragmented, but we watch this as it heads north and mainly west, or mainly east, and then eventually gains latitude. And it's gonna be able to dig though. It's gonna bring moisture. It's having a very big moisture tap to multiple bodies of water. So severe weather outlook, storm prediction center. What does it have? So just a little marginal threat down in Florida. Some general thunderstorm risk. It's not too bad. Day 2 is where we get started. Okay, enhanced risk in portions of northern Louisiana, portions of the Arklatex, mainly you have to say north and east of Texas, but enhanced risk northern Mississippi, northwestern portions of Alabama, western half of Tennessee, western half of Kentucky, southwestern half of Indiana, southern half of Illinois, southeastern half of Missouri, most of Arkansas. So we're going to watch this. Okay, main threat is wind and hail. Tornado is there as well, though. Okay, 10% with the hatch risk. So tornado threat is definitely there, especially in portions of northern Mississippi. Oh my gosh. Northern Mississippi, sorry about that, western Tennessee, as well as southwestern Kentucky, and it kind of borders portions of extreme southeastern Missouri, west eastern Arkansas, and extreme northeastern Louisiana. So you watch that. Wind, though, there's your wind threat. Easily the most worrisome. Same areas that are kind of the bullseye for tornado, especially except a little bit more north is where your wind threat is. And then there will be a hail threat, but not as uh, big as the wind and tornado threat. This is more further south into deep south. But that's one day. We have to. Many people are already looking ahead to Monday since more populated areas, but this still has 17 million people up in the enhanced risk, almost 50 million in portions of the slight risk, almost 60 million portions of the marginal risk. So it is a high risk event though. So we're going to watch this and see how it progresses over the next day. Day 3, this is the one that everyone's watching. Okay, enhanced risk for portions of northern Louisiana, portions of Texas, portions of Florida, portions of Texas, portions of Texas, portions of Florida, 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 portions of of the eastern seaboard, especially because it gets up into DC, Baltimore, some populated areas. Area population almost up to 30 million. Slight risk just over 20 million. Marginal risk just over 30 million. So we're watching this as well. Don't know the biggest threats yet, but it's most likely going to be wind and a tornado risk. Hail will likely be minimal. So let's look at the HREF, okay, the high resolution model, okay. I like looking at this because it provides all the synoptics, main details we got to know. So here's our kind of trough right now. Hold on, this is actually ahead, so we got to come way back. So this is your trough in the east, your long wave trough, okay, kind of zonal, but it's dipping a little in the east. That's what you'll see. It starts to lift north and east, as you can see. That heads out. Then watch this dig right here. See this kind of jet buckle right here, and it gets back zonal. This is where you watch your trough really start to dip and swing. So watch, there it is. It starts to dig very good. It's slightly positive, starts to get neutral though. And I mean, there's your buckle in the jet, okay? Right in here. Okay, this is your buckle. It's very steep, so you got lots of energy diving down and a very formidable low pressure that kind of forms. So that comes, and look at that. That's where you're mainly watch. So your low pressure is up here. Lots of, this is still technically frontogenesis. Lots of energy and kinematics in on the eastern side, which is driving our severe weather threat. And it is digging so much. Eventually, it will likely go negative. That's why we also have a high ceiling for areas of the eastern seaboard. But in the central U.S., this is for the eastern seaboard. This is already Monday. For Sunday, it's still developing, lots of rising motion, so you still have an enhanced risk in portions of the central U.S. So we're going to watch it. Okay, severe, if we're looking at Cape, for example, I mean, here we'll look at the mean Cape convective available potential energy, and it definitely sparks up, okay? And I'm going to say this, you don't need much with this type of threat, because this threat is very it's synoptically driven. Okay, you have lots of wind shear, you have lots of energy, rising motion. You don't need too much cape, just enough for storm initialization, and you get that. Okay, you get up to 1,000. When you get further south than west, you get up over 1,000, maybe localized areas at 2,000. Okay, some greens popping out over 2,000, and then it tries to get up in the east as well. Max cape shows that as well. You don't need much. Okay, you really don't need much with this setup. I'm telling you. Okay, threshold here. Let's look at some other things. Unstable cape. You'll have unstable cape, and that's also what's kind of the main driver. When you have unstable cape, even if you don't have much LCL cape and you have more unstable cape, that's still enough to initialize storms. Here it's further north, representing how it's going to be draped over a pretty large area. This is over 1,000. So that's your sphere. Look at the helicity, though. This is the main part. I mean, you already see that. Okay, this is why you don't need so much cape. You have so much dynamics and synoptics. I mean, your helicity here, going into Sunday, in the dark purple, this is over 800, maybe a little overdone. Here, where your severe weather threat, right here, over 400. And then you get to the east, you have peaks over 400 as well. So just so you storm, that's mainly for tornado threat, okay? And then kind of severe tornado potential, we'll watch that as well. That's going to be present, okay? Look at that. Okay, in the greens, you have 2 to 3. Okay, so moderate. And then below that, still low, but it's still there. You still see that frontal boundary. And then we still need to get in range for the east, but you already see it starting to creep up. Besides that, that's about it. I mean, if we're looking at precip type, actually, I don't really like looking at that. We can look at reflectivity, see what if it can give us an idea. And this is your line right here. Shows everything coming together. Most models in agreement that we're gonna have a big severe weather threat. Okay, lots of felicity, lots of rising motion, and you get a severe threat. Okay, and that you see it gets even crazier once you get into the east. When you're looking at anything much updrafts, you can look at this probably won't help us much. Okay. So wind speed, we can look at wind speed, okay, because this again will be a mainly wind-driven threat. And look at that, they're 90 miles an hour, okay? 90 miles per hour, 4-hour max wind speed, okay? Um, that's pretty crazy. And again, we're not in range for the east, but 90 miles per hour, maybe localized even higher, okay? So we're gonna watch that. So that's about it for that. We can look at updrafts if this helps. I don't know. I kind of experiment with this. I mean, it's been long since we got severe threat. Just getting into the start of severe season, we're already seeing this, which is pretty insane. But there's a little shows a little bit of the helicity where you can have the highest severe or tornado threats. Let's look at the NAM. Okay, I feel like we can take a look at some hodographs, some soundings. Here's your low pressure. Gets ramped up by 989 widespread snow in the northern half. I mean, portions of Minnesota, you'll get your snow with this one. Wisconsin, even Chicago could see both severe weather and snow on the backside. So you get a little bit of a northwest flow. But here, let's zoom in. Oh, my bad. Let's zoom in portions of south central U.S. Here it's a little already ahead. Here, let's go kind of like right here. Let's take a little setting right there. Oh, error? Come on. Okay, hold on. Let's go like right here. So this is why. Look at all this omega, like this energy, okay? We usually use omega for like dendritic growth and winter, blah, blah, blah. But it still shows the energy. And this is an unstable sounding, okay? Because look, stable, unstable, stable, unstable, stable, unstable, stable, and then it's more stable, and then, I mean, this is way up, but you see these like kinks, right? It goes to the left, then it goes more up, then back to left, up. That just shows you that you have unstable atmosphere, okay? That's the easiest way to read it. It's way more specific that I even need to learn, but that's how you know that this atmosphere is unstable, okay? And your moisture and temperature, your dew point and temperature are very close in relation. That's also how you know. And then hodograph wise, you got this like hook, okay? This kind of like a what do you call it? Like a reaper, okay? Grim Reaper type of, I don't know exactly what you call it, but basically this is pretty signature. I kind of signal for some sort of tornado threat, okay? It's here. This shows how the wind changes as you increase in altitude, okay? So, relatively same, then you get a little bit of a wind chain, back down, up, and then back down. That just shows you that you have kind of a changing winds at several portions of atmosphere, at the several layers of the atmosphere, so your winds are changing in different directions, so you get winds to intersect, you can get a column of spinning air, and eventually that can mature into a tornado, okay? So we'll watch that. And I mean, like, this could be some wild weather. Like St. Louis, for example, maybe some storms, severe weather, and you get some snow on the backside, okay? I mean, even at Illinois, like, portions of Illinois, okay? Like Springfield could get some storms, and then you get some snow on the backside. So we're going to watch that. That's happened for areas in the east as well with the last storm. We'll go zoom into the Northeast real quick and just cover them. So this is why it also could be interesting for the Northeast, okay? Prefrontal, so before your QLCS, quasi-linear convective system, comes through, you can get some supercells that start to pop up, or semi-discrete singular cells, okay? Because you have such a good environment, okay? So we'll see if anything can pop up. Usually doesn't always happen, but if you get even just a couple, it could be interesting. So we watch the cells. This is mainly what we're watching ahead of the squall line, which will be the main damaging wind threat, and that comes through, okay? But any of these cells, for example, that pop up just a couple hours before the line, that has to be watched. Doesn't look as aggressive on the NAM, but some models show it very aggressive, and usually models don't really pick it up until we get right near the event. So we'll watch that. And then lastly, we'll go to the north central U.S. Just want to talk about a little bit of the winter weather threat. Okay, cold air, plentiful, will be a little icing threat in portions of southern Minnesota, central Wisconsin, maybe even northern Michigan. Some areas go from bursts of snow to ice, and maybe even rain, back to ice, back to snow. It could be very interesting. We'll watch that. We're looking at snow totals. We'll just do 10 to 1, quick 10 to 1, and it's a big storm. It's a very big storm, okay? Some of this will be ice, for example, in these areas, but, I mean, the UP of Michigan, north, gotta watch out for some heavier totals, for sure, okay? And even Chicago might be a little overdone, but you could even pick up 1 to 3 inches, same with St. Louis, both behind the severe weather threat. And then if we go to Maine, just portion of the Northeast at least, where you do have some cold air lingering. This is what I mean. You get a little bit of ice. NAM not as aggressive. Okay, you get a little bit of snow in upstate. Maine, you get a little bit of ice, but you go right to rain. Okay, and then on the backside, some northwest flow could lead to some snow. So that's about it. Big few days of severe weather, mainly tornado and wind. Can't rule out some larger hail. We'll have to watch it. Details will be much clearer. I can provide much more information as we get closer. For now, stay safe. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.